Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler,
And I'm Molly.
and today is Batman Day, September 21st, 2014. 2024. Years are hard,
They are sometimes.
especially as you get older. But this year is also the 85th anniversary of the creation of Batman. So, as such, we're going to be going into the movies that we feel like. Well, the movies that we feel like exemplify Batman at what we think are his best traits.
Yeah.
These are the movies that we think of when we think Batman in the movies, that is.
Yeah.
So, we're starting off with your pick. Now, would you like to introduce it for us, please?
Sure. Well, as you know, our opinions of Batman are very different. Me and Tyler, that is. Because I am a big fan of the 60s Batman TV show starring Adam West. Because it is just so much fun. It's hilarious. So watching that as a kid, definitely shaped how I view Batman, and the 60s show made Batman one of my favorite superheroes because just of how ridiculous it was and how much fun it was. So obviously my pick is what year did it come out? Batman, the movie.
From 1966.
From 1966.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a continuation of the 60s series that had been going on for 3 seasons. This, of course, stars Adam West as Batman, the Caped Crusader himself, alongside his young ward, Dick Grayson, who's also Robin, played by Burt Ward. His young ward, played by a guy named Ward.
That's pretty funny.
They have to foil the dastardly scheme of Catwoman, this time played by Lee Merriweather, the Joker, played by Cesar Romero, the Penguin, played by Burgess Meredith, and the Riddler, played by Frank Gorshin.
Oh yeah, all the bad guys are here. All the big bad guys, anyway.
4 of them, at least.
Yeah. The most famous ones.
Batman and Robin are assisted by Alfred, played by Alan Napier, Commissioner Gordon, played by Neil Hamilton, and Chief O'Hara, played by Stafford Rep.
Some good side characters. That, we see those throughout the TV show as well.
Now, the villain's plan this time is to dehydrate the UN leaders of different countries and to hold them ransom. Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild premise. Because, they have this machine that they get from some whiskey maker that allows them to dehydrate people. But don't worry, they can also rehydrate them later, as long as their little molecules don't get mixed up with each other.
Yeah, that leads to a very silly ending, but one that's very fitting of this series that this movie is based on.
Yeah, some of the things are just so ridiculous. I mean, this just fits right in with the show.
Honestly, this is not really my my idea of Batman, and I refuse to apologize for that.
I know. I understand, but I think you're wrong. But I understand.
Yes, well, you can't parallel park.
Agree to disagree.
On the Batman or the parallel parking part?
Both. Yeah, I don't think you've ever seen me parallel park.
I don't think you've ever seen me parallel park.
I just avoid it. We're getting off topic here. You're making me get off topic.
Yes, but the point is you're not good at parking or driving for that matter.
Which one of us has never been in a wreck?
Which one of us is scared to drive in a major metropolitan area?
Sorry, I'm a normal person. Anyways, it's me. I'm the better driver.
No, she's not.
Tell that to my driving record.
I'll tell that to the fact that you're a woman.
This has gone way too far. Let's get back. I don't even know what we were talking about in the beginning because you're just making me so mad right now.
Yeah, this isn't my cup of tea when it comes to Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer the more darker, more serious takes on the character and the stories. Not just Batman, but his his side characters, his rogues gallery, all of that. I prefer more. Well, yeah, definitely a darker take on all of that.
I like the campiness, the funny stuff.
Yeah, this movie and the show definitely has its place. It's just not. It's just far away from me.
The movie's pretty funny. There's quite a few parts that make me laugh.
I'm lying. I do enjoy some of this. Like I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, this is absolute crap. Get this out of here. But this isn't my go-to.
Yeah, I saw you watching it. You laughed. You had a good time. I saw. But yeah, there's several funny parts. Like the beginning when Batman gets bitten by that shark. The shark has a hold of his leg. Hilarious, He has to get his shark repellent spray. Shark repellent bat spray is what it's called.
Which, fun fact, is a real thing.
That's pretty awesome.
It doesn't make sharks explode, and it's more about like making it so that sharks don't want to attack you. But it's kind of a real thing, and you'll never guess who invented the stuff.
Batman?
In real life.
I don't know, man.
Julia Child.
Huh.
She invented it while she was working with the U.S. government during World War II.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, so there was proposed sequels to this movie. One of them would have pitted Batman against Godzilla.
I would have watched the heck out of that.
Which, funnily enough, let me do the math here. Over 50 years later, and we got Batman versus Godzilla in the comics. It was Godzilla and King Kong versus the Justice League.
Man, I would have liked it as an Adam West movie.
Adam West Batman versus Showa Godzilla.
Yeah, I think that would have been ridiculous.
That would have been fun. And imagine if they just kept doing that throughout the decades. We get Heisei Godzilla versus Michael Keaton Batman, then whichever Millennium era Godzilla they were going to use, probably Final Wars against Christian Bale Batman, and then Monsterverse versus Ben Affleck. Could have been fun.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty funny. But yeah, I would have definitely watched that movie.
Robert Pattinson versus -1.
Yeah. Pretty funny to think about.
Another sequel would have had Batman and Robin fighting villains in space, which we got in one of the animated 60s Batman movies that was released last decade.
I would have watched that too. Did we watch that?
Yeah. They ended up fighting Joker, Penguin, and the Riddler in space.
It's not the animated one, but it had Adam West.
Yeah, it had Adam West, Burt Ward, and not Lee Merriweather, not Eartha Kitt, obviously. Julie Newmar.
Yeah. I remember really liking that movie. It was a while ago when we watched it, so I don't remember too much, but I remember watching it and liking it a lot because even though it was animated, it was like watching an episode of the 60s TV show.
I think I like that one more than this one that we just watched, honestly. I feel like Batman definitely has a great history in animation, which you'll see with my pick. That really lends itself to the character in the world.
Yeah, I forgot about that movie, but it was hilarious. I remember liking it a lot.
Heck, the series itself for the '60s Batman was canceled prematurely because of budget reasons and all that. But in more recent years, it's been continued with a comic line.
Nice.
Yeah, they've been able to introduce villains that they didn't get a chance to use on the show, like Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, Scarecrow, Bane. So I haven't actually read any of it. I've just seen stuff here and there, but it looks interesting.
Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah, it also gives you a lot to imagine. Like, man, that would have been cool to have on the show in live action.
Well, they were planning on putting Two-Face on the show, right?
Yes, I do know.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a TV reporter instead of a district attorney, and Clint Eastwood was supposed to play him. He would have had a TV blow up in his face, which would have, made him Two-Face, but a couple reasons kept them from using him, one of which being, well, the show ended, and they thought that would been a pretty violent origin for the character.
Yeah. Yeah, it's violent, considering every other villain on the show. That show's not very violent. It is very, very kid-friendly.
Yeah. And look, my go-to Batman came from a show that was also very kid-friendly, but I feel like it was still way more adult than the 60s series.
It probably was. But this one's great, though. I love it.
Yeah, look, Adam West will never be my favorite Batman. I certainly respect what he did for the character. In fact, without 60s Batman, we wouldn't have gotten Michael Keaton's Batman or Kevin Conroy. Not to mention anyone else that came after him: Val Kilmer, George Clooney, for better or worse, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, a whole host of others in animation and on TV. So we do have not Michael Keaton. We do have him to thank, though. But we do have Adam West to thank for repopularizing, revitalizing the Batman character and series for, a new audience.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it well. He's my favorite Batman, if you haven't already gathered.
Yeah.
I just can't. I just think it's so funny. Throughout the whole TV show, there's, like, in every episode, something hilarious is going to happen, and it's going to be wild and so much fun. Like in the movie, whenever he has that bomb that's about to explode, and he has to run around, and he tries to throw it in some direction. He tries to throw it. Every time he tries to throw it in the ocean, there's, like, some ducks sitting there, or a couple kissing on a boat. He just can't get rid of the bomb. It's hilarious.
If I had a nickel for every time Batman was trying to get rid of a bomb in a movie and then it exploded, making us think that he died, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
What was the second one?
Dark Knight Rises.
Oh. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that.
Speaking of which, famously, Cesar Romero did not shave his mustache for, the Joker makeup, which is pretty obvious, but this wouldn't be the only time a DC actor would be unable to shave his mustache because of other things. Henry Cavill, for the reshoots of the 2017 version of Justice League, had to keep his mustache for his role in the Mission Impossible movie that he was going to be in. More on that later when we cover those movies. But so they had to use some CGI to cover it for all of his reshoots. Ended up looking really funny.
Yeah, it looks, honestly, it looks worse than just what Cesar Romero did and just had makeup over it. His at least looks funny. It's kind of funny because you can obviously tell there's a mustache on that man and it's just white, but it's still funny. It's funny, man.
Which also makes Cesar Romero the first Hispanic man to play the Joker, and the first man to play the Joker at all, really.
Yeah. He does a good job.
Yeah, like I said, he does, like with Adam West's Batman, Cesar Romero's Joker, it's a product of the time. It fits for what was required of the time, what comics were like at the time. It was the Silver Age. Things were very silly. Things were very goofy. All of that. I think you would like comics that were made in that era.
Probably, because you know I'm all about that goofy stuff. I just love being silly. Give me something goofy. I'll read it.
Yeah, this was an era when Superman sometimes had to bully Jimmy Olsen just so that he wouldn't die from being friends with him.
All right.
This was an era when Green Lantern was weak against the things that were colored yellow, and he just so happens to be facing things that were the color yellow in every other issue.
Sounds pretty goofy.
The Flash. Enough said. He has some silly, goofy ass villains. You got a guy who uses boomerangs as a weapon. That's pretty silly.
That's pretty silly.
You got a telepathic gorilla, who's also a cannibal.
Sounds pretty cool.
Although not really a cannibal since he eats humans, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I thought he was eating gorillas, honestly.
Well,
You said cannibal.
yeah, I'm correcting myself.
All right, so he's a man-eating gorilla.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You got a guy called the Top, and guess what he does?
Does he spin?
He spins. He controls tops.
That sounds lame,
It is.
but hilarious. Yeah.
Look, point is, Silver Age was a weird time for comics, but it's kind of fun too.
Yeah, it sounds really fun.
All right, now, do you have anything more to say on your favorite Batman movie?
I'd just like to say that maybe if you're like, dang, this woman is crazy, I hate
You'd be
those
right.
movies. No, well, maybe, but anyways, I think you should maybe revisit them. Watch maybe a few episodes of the TV show. Give the movie another watch. And just enjoy that it's okay for Batman to be silly,
Okay.
in my opinion. In my correct opinion.
Look, if I'm going to watch silly Batman, I'm watching Brave and the Bold with Diedrich Bader. That is silly Batman done right.
This is silly Batman done right.
I'm gonna punch you. No, do not hit women.
Yes, that's what Batman would say.
Diedrich Bader's Batman says, the hammer of justice is unisex.
Adam West would never.
Adam West got kicked out of a Batman-themed orgy because he stayed in character the whole time.
Okay, but I'm talking about Batman.
Frank Gorshin was also there. He got kicked out too.
I think I've said everything I need to say.
Anyways, so my favorite Batman movie, or maybe not necessarily my favorite Batman movie, but my favorite movie and how it treats Batman, how it adapts him, how it really utilizes him and his character, is an animated one. And if you're a fan of animated DC movies, you're probably thinking, Tyler, that's really vague. Can you narrow it down for me? Yes, I will. Made up audience member who I just made up. Now, there's been plenty of fantastic animated Batman properties. You have the adaptations of The Dark Knight Returns, of Under the Red Hood, of Sub-Zero, of The Long Halloween, both parts 1 and 2. You have as many animated Justice League appearances. And you even have him teaming up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which that one's really fun. I'm not gonna lie. That is just top tier animated Batman. No notes, please. Keep doing what you're doing, sweetheart. You're doing great. But my favorite out of all of these is a continuation from Batman the Animated Series from the 90s. And it is, of course, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. That's coming up next.
All right, let's watch it.
Now, concerning Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, you know as well as I do that this is a continuation of the 90s Batman the Animated Series, correct?
Yeah, sure. Correct.
Yeah. And as such, it kept pretty much everyone who appeared as their characters in this movie. But before we get into that, let's get into the plot of this movie. In this movie, Batman comes across a new villain, the Phantasm, who's going around bumping off mob bosses. From afar, it looks like Batman is the one killing these guys off, so he's in trouble with the law this time around. And at the same time, an old flame of Bruce Wayne has come back into the picture, and both Bruce Wayne and Batman have to tackle these demons together.
Yeah. Batman is, kind of seen as a bad guy by the common folk, the cops at least.
Yeah. Now, before we get into this, let's have a spoiler warning, because it is important that you watch this movie if you haven't, and even if you have watched it, go watch it again. Why not?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Tyler's made me watch it like 3 times now.
Only 3?
I think.
Okay, so in this movie, we have, of course, the late, great Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Kevin Conroy was, without a doubt, the finest actor to have ever played Batman, in my opinion. He was Batman. He set the standard for really anyone who would follow him in animation, and there will never be another one like him.
Yeah, I think I don't watch a lot of animated Batman, so I haven't, really got to experience a lot of his characterization with Batman. So I'm sorry.
I thought there was going to be a but in there.
But he was good in this movie. Does that make you happy?
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
Dana Delaney plays Andrea Beaumont, Bruce Wayne's former love interest. Years ago, she and Bruce had gotten engaged, and they were going to get married. Obviously, that's how engagements work. But then she had to leave with her father to Europe after he had gotten in trouble with the mob for money. Now, why her father didn't just ask Bruce for money, I don't know. Maybe he figured he didn't want to get Bruce involved in it, on all of this crime and other nonsense like that. Maybe he thought Bruce would take the opportunity to do some hostile takeover work. I don't know, but regardless, he just didn't get involved.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you're going to be mad at me, but I'm trying to feed the baby at the same time, and I'm getting distracted.
Okay. Anyways, let's just continue.
Yeah, just continue.
Hart Bochner plays Arthur Reeves, another new character to this universe, a former lawyer of Andrea's father, and now a city council member. Reeves is one of the more detestable characters in this movie, but he serves his purpose all right.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk, but he gets what's coming to him, I guess.
Which fits, given that he's played by the same guy who played Ellis in Die Hard.
Oh, yeah, okay. It took me a moment to think of who that was.
Stacy Keach plays Andrea's father, Carl, who also provides the voice of the Phantasm, which is a nice bit of misdirection.
Yeah, big misdirection there.
Abe Vigoda plays Salvatore Valestra, the big boss of all these mob bosses, so to speak.
Yeah, the big bad guy.
Abe Vigoda is of course known for his role in the cinematic classic Good Burger.
Ah, yes.
Classic 80s character actor Dick Miller plays Chucky Saul, one of the other mob bosses who gets killed off pretty early on. John P. Ryan plays Buzz Bronski, another mob boss who manages to last a little bit longer.
Yeah, a little.
Reprising their roles from the animated series, we have Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred, Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon, and Robert Costanzo as Detective Bullock. They serve the same purpose that they did in the original show. Not much to say here, other than they do as good of a job here as they do on the show.
Yeah, they don't have too much screen time here.
Also returning is Mark Hamill as the Joker. Now, what Kevin Conroy was to Batman, Mark Hamill was to the Joker. He has since retired since Kevin Conroy's passing, which, well, that's his choice, and I won't tell him that he's wrong for doing that.
Yeah.
So, what are your general thoughts on this movie?
Well, it is not a movie I would ever choose to watch. And, but you have made me watch it 3 times. I just, I don't get into Batman too much if it's not the 60s show.
It's a bit short-sighted of you.
It just doesn't appeal to me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I won't say this is a bad movie. It's perfectly fine. It keeps my attention pretty well, even though it's something I don't usually watch. So,
okay.
Yeah, so that's saying something for me, I think.
Yeah. So, like I said in the previous section, this is the movie that I think best exemplifies Batman's character. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it best exemplifies the tragedy of his character, about how he is really committed to this job, for better or for worse. It exemplifies his... Well, the movie and the show that this movie is following best exemplify Batman's character, I think. His compassion, about how he always wants to try to help people become, better than they were before. About how he wants to help his bad guys be better. That he wants to give them a chance to do that. Whether they take that, that's all up to them. But he's willing to put forth the effort to do that. That's what he always does on the series, and that's what makes me and a lot of other people really love the series for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
Now, some interesting aspects of this movie. We get to see Bruce before he becomes Batman, or sort of like an awkward prototype stage of Batman. We see him fighting thugs in a ski mask and all that, but he doesn't really have the Batman factor of it yet. He's not really intimidating. He's just some guy.
Yeah, he's not officially Batman. It's just kind of, he's practicing to be Batman, I guess.
And we get to see how Bruce possibly could have had a normal life outside of Batman, with Andrea, but the machinations of the mob and her father's failure to get them their money back really kind of screwed up that whole plan, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate. Poor Batman.
Yeah. So, originally speaking, Kevin Conroy wasn't... He didn't think he was going to get the role of Batman. He auditioned for the role of Harvey Bullock, Commissioner Gordon's right-hand man on the force. It wasn't until he actually decided to audition for the role that something sort of awoke in him. Something that, given his own background as living a closeted life as a gay man, really helped him identify with the character of Batman. That really gave him the voice, so to speak, both metaphorically and literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting that he has that sort of connection with the character.
And as for Mark Hamill as the Joker, Well, originally Tim Curry had the role, but one thing or another, whether it be Tim Curry just couldn't do it because of illness, prior commitments, or the studio wanting a new voice, given that Tim Curry was making the rounds as animated villains. Mark Hamill was brought in after he had previously voiced the character of Ferris Boyle in the episode Heart of Ice. He got brought on as the Joker, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, now Tim Curry's Joker dialogue has been leaked here and there, but we haven't gotten a whole lot of it. Now, there is some of his work that remains in this series, though. At one point, there's this robotic clown that, when it laughs, that's Tim Curry's laugh, which is interesting.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Plus, Tim Curry appears in the sequel to this show, Batman Beyond, but only for one episode, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Could have been cool to have him more screen time.
Yes, it would have. But on the other hand, the role of the Joker did give Mark Hamill a second career as a voice actor after he couldn't find much work after Star Wars because everyone just kept seeing him as Mark Hamill.
Yeah, it would definitely be hard to separate yourself from a role as big as Luke Skywalker. That would be pretty hard.
These days, Hamill is just as known for the Joker as he is for Luke Skywalker. In some circles, I'd say more so.
Yeah. He's been the Joker for quite a while.
Yeah, he was the Joker just as long as Kevin Conroy was Batman. Both men had their final performances as their characters in this year's Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. They had a cameo as a version of their DC animated universe, Batman and Joker, on an Earth that was getting destroyed. And it was poetic in a way that their characters went out fighting each other, and it was their final performances as the characters too.
Yeah. Kind of nice.
Okay. All right, so this movie received a lot of acclaim from critics and audiences. However, because of the failure in marketing due to the fact this wasn't supposed to be a theatrical release, it bombed at the box office pretty hard.
Yeah. Well, if no one's expecting to go watch it, then yeah, I could see why. Seems like it was bad planning.
Yeah, well, you know what? Warner Brothers is kind of stupid sometimes.
I guess so.
In fact, Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert on their show at the movies, they didn't originally review this movie when it first came out. They had to go back like a year later to out of their way to review this movie because they felt like the public needed to watch this, which I agreed they did.
Yeah, I guess so.
Only thing is, Gene Siskel said he didn't like Mark Hamill's voice as the Joker, which is kind of silly of him.
Yeah, that's kind of a hot take.
It is a hot take, and you know what? I'm gonna make another hot take. You're wrong, Gene Siskel.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because Mark Hamill does a really good job. I think that's a pretty well accepted fact.
Now, there are some there are a few plot holes here and there in this movie, which I do have to bring up because in the interest of being fair, so Batman, like I said, is framed for all these mob boss murders, but like at the end we see him, you know, in the city brooding as he does, and then the bat signal goes up, and he just goes off to do more crime fighting. It's like, did the city just forgive him or something? I mean, it's kind of unclear.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a little unclear. Maybe, you know, because didn't Joker like catch the Phantasm on camera. So maybe, people were beginning to realize it wasn't Batman doing all the bad stuff.
Well, maybe, but then again, that camera was also blown up when Joker blew up Sal Valestra's body.
Yeah, maybe it was live streaming. I don't know.
Anyways, the way I saw it is that maybe Arthur got the law to back off and be like, hey, look, it actually isn't Batman. It's this other guy. I don't know who it is. It's just not Batman. So let's just call off this, because he seemed to be in charge of the manhunt of Batman. So maybe that's how it was.
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
However, there was a deleted scene that was in the novelization but not in the movie, where Batman got cleared of the charges due to a photographer, the same journalist who approaches Andrea on the yacht at the end, having evidence that cleared him.
Oh, yeah. You think you're going to keep that in the movie to clear things up?
I don't know. I mean, like we've said, though, you can kind of speculate and sort of guess that he was gonna get cleared of all charges in one way or another. So it's easy to say like it happened off screen, but still could be nice to actually have that.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay, so obviously there's been animated DC works after this movie, but guess when the next guess when the next animated DC movie got a full-length theatrical release after this one was?
Dude, I don't know.
It was 25 years later with the Lego Batman movie.
Wow, that's quite a long time.
Yeah, the financial failure of Mask of the Phantasm really kind of hurt following DC movies.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I feel like we've gone through this without really spoiling the big secret of this movie, but let's get into that. So the Phantasm is Andrea Beaumont. At first, she wants us to think that it's her father, which makes sense given that his voice is the same one as the Phantasm's. But it's her getting revenge on these mob bosses for her dad's murder. Also, the Joker was actually their hitman, as we see. Kind of a fun little twist there that we get thrown in halfway through. It doesn't really have any bearing on the story, but no, it does actually. But like, it's still fun to see.
Yeah, it's fun to see.
And it's really interesting how she's able to go around killing all these guys and really getting away with it.
Yeah, she doesn't get caught. Everyone thinks it's Batman.
Although, unfortunately, years later, as we see in Justice League Unlimited, she's still killing people, as Amanda Waller contracts her to kill Terry McGinnis' parents so that he could become the new Batman of the future. But she backs out of it because she has more morals than Amanda Waller, which that's not really saying a whole lot given that it's Amanda Waller, but still.
Yeah.
But then again, Terry McGinnis ended up becoming Batman anyway, so maybe he should have just killed his parents.
I don't know about that. That seems too much.
Eh.
Oh well.
Okay. Now, this was also originally planned to be a series finale for Batman the Animated Series, which explains why Joker died at the end. But honestly, Joker has seemingly died several times in the course of the animated series. At one point, he was supposedly eaten by a shark. At one point, he was supposedly thrown down a smokestack and died. At another point, he died when his blimp blew up. So, you know what? He's fine.
Yeah, it seems like he just can't die.
Until Tim Drake killed him, but that's a story for another time.
All right, yeah, for another time.
Now, this movie also, quote unquote, borrows other actors from the DC animated universe in roles in this movie. For one, Dana Delaney, who plays Andrea Beaumont, will later go on to play Lois Lane on Superman the Animated Series. It was, in fact, her role here that got her that job.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, Bruce had a brief fling with Lois later on, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Arlene Sorkin, who appears as as one of the women at Bruce's party in the beginning, was also the original voice of Harley Quinn on the animated series.
Oh. Very interesting.
Now, there's one last thing I'd like to talk about before we wrap this section up. I feel like there's some interesting parallels between Andrea Beaumont and Batman's sort of missions in their costume vigilante work.
Yeah, they do seem to have, different values, different goals.
Yeah, in fact, near the end, Andrea even says to Batman that who else would understand her more than him, which I feel like Bruce's reaction to it is kind of similar to the reaction that Robert Pattinson's Batman had at the end of the Batman when he saw the guy that he saved at the beginning of the movie as one of Riddler's goons. Like, what has his vengeance and his brand of justice really created? You know, if it's going to be creating stuff like, the Phantasm or the Riddler and his goons, then is he really doing it the right way?
It's very deep.
Yeah.
Makes you think.
Yeah. And this theme gets explored on the animated series too. Like, is Batman's journey, is his mission really helping people? Because at one point in an episode called Trial, he gets put on trial by all his villains in Arkham Asylum when they have a breakout. Now, why they didn't decide to just break out and get free, I don't know, but they're crazy.
Yeah, sounds like it.
They all try to make the case that that Batman was the one who made them become bad guys. It doesn't go their way, of course, but it really makes you think that maybe Batman isn't the best medicine for the city. I mean, he's doing something at least, but maybe he is still doing some harm, even though he's not doing it intentionally, of course.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't intentional. That makes you think too,
See, the series is a lot of interesting questions and ideas.
Yeah, a lot of deep thinking.
Yeah, like I said at some point in our Batman the movie section, I feel like Batman the animated series might be a bit more of an adult series compared to the 60s series.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Now, it's made for kids, yes, and it's animated, which that doesn't mean anything. Animated things can be for children or adults, but I feel like the animated series focuses on more complex and more real world issues. But on the other hand, that doesn't mean that the 60s series is bad. They're just for different audiences.
Yeah, very different audiences.
You'll never see something like Batman dealing with the consequences of drugs and gentrification and really poor neighborhoods and all that stuff on the 60s series.
No. Yeah, you probably won't see that.
Just like you'll never see the Batman from the animated series singing and dancing unless it's that episode of Beyond where they go to the Batman musical.
Yeah. That would be interesting, though.
Well, if you want to watch Kevin Conroy spoof his Batman Well, he's done it actually. He's done it on Scooby Doo, Brave and the Bold. He was a very versatile voice actor, really.
Yeah, I bet so.
Heck, he even did it on the Venture Brothers at one point too.
I'm not familiar.
That's okay. It's probably not your thing.
Probably not.
But that will do it for our favorite Batman movies. This is a fun time, I guess. Well, not I guess. I got to watch one of my favorite Batman movies of all time, and also something that's not so bad, really. It's silly, it's goofy, but Batman the movie ain't so bad either.
Yeah, it ain't so bad.
But I'm thinking maybe you want to watch the other Batman movies?
Something tells me we are, even if I say no.
You're darn right.
All right, I guess we have to.
Let's see, 8 more movies.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of movies.
Yes, well, it's Batman's 85th birthday. Gotta do it for the Batman.
He's old.
He is. He's getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame soon, too.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I hope all the living live-action Batman actors go to it. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. I guess we'll find out.
Yes, we will. So, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.